Howdy, howdy. Sudevla here, and welcome to our post-Vampire Coast announcement release discussion. I want to go over some of the speculation I had before this was announced, what I think this means to Total War Warhammer, which I think it's pretty huge when I look at some of the stuff behind just the release. And we will we'll start the speculation for the next bit of content early. First of all, when I looked at this is less total content in terms of what I guessed or what I'd hoped for, because I thought, well, originally I thought it was going to be just the Southern Realms. Then it looked like, well, it's going to be the Vampire Coast and the Southern Realms. This is actually better because this is a fully fleshed out Vampire Coast, 4 legendary lords, and it looks like an interesting new mechanic in that it's half classic Warhammer and half Horde faction with their ships, and it's got two huge new game mechanics in it that they've announced, and clearly there's more to come. Like, number one is now you can finally have a fight in the ocean. It's not just an auto-resolve death every time. Yeah, okay, it's a bit of a shortcut where you're going to fight on an island, but I don't care. It's going to be fun. It's way better. It is way better than getting caught out and auto-resolve to death by an army you could beat, which I've had happen many times. And this is actually just a good all-around way of managing it. Yeah, we're not going to get naval battles. I don't think naval battles are that terribly important, to be honest. It'd just be a nice to have as opposed to something that's going to make the game significantly better. The idea of having an island battle is fantastic. It is just, you are going to be, like, I know I will be much less reticent to explore, and I can be a lot more aggressive in the ocean if I know that I can at least have a fighting chance on an island battle. Yeah, all your units will get killed, I would guess, but that'll be just fine. The other big mechanic is that they are going to be able to raid or sack or set up some sort of, if they attack a coastal city, a city with a port, they're going to be able to set up sort of a pirate cove and gain money from that city. Now, this is more important than just the mechanic in terms of the Vampire Coast and the pirates, the vampire pirates, which are going to be so cool. Like, the trailer for this is fantastic. If you haven't seen it, it's amazing. Go watch it. And so colorful, so much fun. Like, this is going to be meme central for the next 6 months, I'm sure. But the mechanic of getting into a city and, when you take it over, not necessarily taking over the whole city and the province, but sort of taxing it in some way or having some sort of ownership or presence there, does this open up the possibility for the Skaven and the Under Empire, like the underworld, the whole massive Skaven faction, to have a new mechanic coming their way someday? I think, for me, I'm really positive. I'm in a positive frame of mind that it will. I think that could make the Skaven a lot more interesting, where they could set up a settlement under the settlement sort of thing, like a pirate cove. We'll see how that works out. The DLC, like here's the big thing. Aside from all this, now we can fight in the ocean and we have a new mechanic. The thing that makes this Vampire Coast DLC so special is that it gives a shining beacon to what the path forward is for Total War Warhammer. When we look at some of the first DLCs, they were like big factions, like the Beastmen are enormous. What else is pretty big? I mean, they have a lot of lords, a lot of lore. What they've done here is they've taken a minor faction and really expanded it, and you can see that the units look awesome. First of all, this is going to be an amazing army to watch. I don't know how they're going to play, but obviously they'll be balanced over time. It's going to be a fun army to watch. They're going to have good cinematics, and it looks like they have excellent models already. Amazing animations, and they would have had to put a lot of work into the animations if you look at the models they have out there. Just impressive artwork. It is gorgeous artwork, which is, I guess, to be expected from CA and Games Workshop that their artwork is going to be top shelf all the time. The thing that this really tells us is they are setting the course for going all in Warhammer Fantasy. They've taken a Vampire Coast, which is sort of a, doesn't have a full army in the lore, not a really good set, and they've expanded it, give it some themes, and taken every little bit. They've milked every last drop out of that tit. It looks amazing, and I'm really excited because what does this say? This says Amazons, we're gonna get the Amazons. Maybe it's gonna be 3 years from now, but they're coming. Albion, it's coming. Araby, it's coming. Like some of these minor factions that are sort of out there somewhere, these factions are going to be in the game. Absolutely, there is a 100% chance of this happening. Because there are other factions they could have put emphasis on and made a DLC pack, like the Southern Realms, like Kislev, like, maybe another Skaven faction. They could have really done something here, but they are sending a message to everyone who plays this game that I love, that you love, that we're here to play Warhammer. They're going to keep on pushing the boundaries and giving us smaller factions and flushing them out and making them interesting and making this game better. So for sure the Southern Realms are coming, but with the way this is flushed out, we may get Astalia. It really could be that good. And it might not be Astalia Talea of Border Princes. They might give us Astalia, and then some a later date they give us Talea. They could expand it like that. For a fact we're going to get all of the Empire factions. Marienburg is going to be flushed out. This is going to happen. They're sending a message when they make a DLC or content like this, and that message is we are going for it. This game is going to be alive for the next 5 years. This game is going to keep getting DLC, paid DLC for the next 5 years. It's happening until the next Total War Warhammer franchise comes out, and maybe even beyond. This is going to keep happening, which is absolutely amazing for me. That means some of the other Dowie factions are going to get flushed out. It's going to happen. It may be 5 years down the road, and it may be a minor DLC, but $10, here we go. Take my money. I've already purchased this, Curse of the Vampire Coast. I mean, I'm never going to play them. I'm Dwarf. I'd play the Dowie. But, you got to support what you love in this world if you want it to flourish, and that's just something you learn. I mean, I'm getting older, and I know a lot of you guys really understand this idea too. You got to support what you love, or it just goes away, or it's not as good as it could be. And there are a lot of people supporting this franchise, Warhammer and Total War like this. We know this is like the perfect mixture of two IPs that have come together to make something amazing. And the Curse of the Vampire Coast, how Pirates of the Caribbean can you get, right? It's amazing. And the Luther Harkon looks awesome. Great voiceovers. The monsters look amazing. The constructs that like a cross between a ship and undead stuff and magic. Like, what more could you ask for? They saw the bats dropping sailors, and I guess this is an undead army, but it is so different than vampires or Tomb Kings. Like, they are all guns, cannons, and that huge cannon at the end. I'm not gonna lie, that made the dwarf in me a little jealous, but don't tell anyone. So it was really cool. You have a little bit of cannon envy. I don't know. We'll see. I'm gonna have to test that cannon just so I can shoot it. I'm really looking forward. This DLC looks fantastic. So I wanted to go through some of the notes and talk about them a little bit, and then talk a little bit more about where I see the DLC and stuff going. In the last video I predicted that this DLC would have Vampire Coast and the Southern Realms, and then the next DLC would be the Lizard Men and the Skaven with their Regiments of Renown, and then we'd be looking into Game 3. This opens that up a little bit, and we'll talk about that at the kind of near the end. But I want to go over the notes. I'm not going to go over just the fluff. I'm just going to go over the campaign pack because this is super cool. So the Curse of the Vampire Coast campaign pack contains 4 new legendary lords, which is fantastic. All Vampire Coast legendary lords. A new lore of magic, the Lore of the Deep, awesome. A new roster, command towering constructs, ghastly pincered sea beasts, ghoulish horrors, and musket wielding piratical zombie hordes in battle. Fantastic. These are going to be fun to fight. I think this is going to be really fun for the Dowie to fight. A suite of all new campaign mechanics. This is a big deal. This is a big deal, lads. This is a big deal. All new suite of campaign mechanics. First, treasure maps. Find treasure maps and dig for booty. Awesome. Shipbuilding. Upgrade each legendary lord's unique ship. So that's their ships are on the ocean are going to be like their horde faction. I imagine they'll be able to do lots of interesting things, and it will pay to upgrade your ship and bring your army onto your ship and to raid. They'll make that worthwhile, I'm sure. Infamy. So rule the waves to become the most infamous pirate of all. So that'll be, I imagine, just like the, it'll be analogous to the Book of Grudges or the Bretonnian Valor or something like this. So pirate coves establish hidden enclaves in your enemy settlements. This is what kind of gives me hope for the Skaven, is that a Skaven will eventually be able to do something similar. So fleet offices, reward your undead admirals with positions of power to improve their loyalty. So that's very much like the Empire. The Pieces of 8. Sail the seas to unlock 8 new regiments of renown. Awesome. New battle mechanics. So more powder. Use your heroes to keep your gun lines topped up with ammo. Interesting. And extra powder. While your black powder is plentiful, each unit will benefit from a variety of missile-related buffs. So this is going to be very much like the High Elves mechanic, where you have extra buffs when your ammo is plentiful, but it's going to have that little thing where you, instead of healing your units, you're going to give them more ammo to be able to get them above that buff line. So it should be an interesting bit of gameplay. I know the High Elf game mechanic hasn't been super successful for multiplayer because it can be taken advantage of by your opponent, but this extra powder bit cannot be taken advantage of in the sense that units can be focused down. So this should be quite a powerful aspect to the game depending on how they do it. But it looks like almost all their units have range, which is really cool. Because all their units have range, this may bring some interesting Dowie units into real play. And I'm talking Iron Drakes, just the flamethrowers, like, even our short range ranged units might come into more play when we're playing against the pirate vampires. Okay, so the FAQ, so frequently asked questions. What is the release date for Curse of the Vampire Coast, and is there a pre-order incentive? It will be released on November 8th, 2018, so just after the election for the Americans watching this. Should have an interesting election this year, I think. And you get a 10% discount if you pre-order on Steam. So I've already got mine. Who are the 4 legendary lords? Luther Harkon is the first legendary lord to be revealed, but rest assured, full maleficent detail on the remaining 3 legendary lords of the Vampire Coast will be revealed in due course. So that should be fun. Will the legendary lords fight for the Vortex? The Vampire Coast factions playable in the Eye of the Vortex and Mortal Empires campaign, but they do not involve themselves in the race for the Great Vortex. They have their own agendas. Good. What about new units? So the Curse of the Vampire Coast will introduce a new army unit roster with a number of horrific constructs which look super cool, rarely seen in the world of Warhammer fantasy battles. These vast undersea beasts, ghoulish revenants of piratical hordes, will be revealed in full soon, which is awesome. So does this mean you're introducing naval battles? No, we currently don't have plans to build a system that adds full naval battles in the game. This would be a vast undertaking and certainly beyond the scope of a DLC pack. Absolutely, and I don't think they should focus on that at all. Maybe 5 years from now it's something really cool, but they don't need to do that. Focus on more factions and more gameplay. That's what I want. We do, however, have a new battle types which will be added to the Total War Warhammer 2 as part of the free update, which will bring you the active alternative to auto-resolving naval encounters, which is island battles or Black Ark battles. So when two armies meet in battle at sea, you can choose to auto-resolve as usual or fight the battle. If you choose the latter, all belligerents will disembark from their ships and fight on a nearby island. This means that your armies will be able to fight with their full land base and battle capabilities and under your full control, which is awesome. This is good. This is a game changer. Really, it is. And this is probably one of the things that took a little longer to, they probably have, you know, somewhere in the neighborhood of 10 island maps, I would guess. And they have the Black Ark Corsairs. I think that might just be one. What we'll see. To support this, we've created a series of island maps with their own geographical idiosyncrasies, which is going to be cool because these maps should favor the Dao-E. They really should, because they're going to have hard edges with the shorelines, and it looks like they're going to have little coves. I saw one of the maps in a picture. It looks like it's going to have coves, things where artillery will be useful, where being on the edge of the playable area will really help, because that's going to help. There's no faction it's going to help more than the dwarfs to have a playable edge that goes into the ocean, because you're not line camping at the, or corner camping in the map. I mean, you're literally using the terrain, and maps that allow Dao-E to use the terrain, like the Underway, choke point battles, and now it's going to be island battles, are going to really, really help the Dao-E in full. So the dwarfs, this is really important for us, is that we are going to get a big advantage, I think, in fighting on island maps when we're in campaign. So this is just going to help the Dao-E even more. It's going to be awesome. So the same is true, to support this, okay, providing platform. To support this, we've created a series of island maps with their own geographical idiosyncrasies, broadening the gamut of battle types in the game, and, of course, providing a platform to let armies at sea fight with all the bonus you've designed into them. This is game-changing. I love this. This is so fantastic. And it's just going to take off the pressure of all the people who want naval battles. And lots of people do, but I mean, I'm not one. I would be nice to have, but it's not that important. I think keep focused on pumping out those factions, you know. I love it. This is going to be fantastic. The same is true of Black Arks. When attacking or defending the Black Ark at sea, the land battle will be fought on this vast rocky slopes and ledges of the Black Ark itself. This will also help the dwarfs, surrounding by towering dark elf architecture. This is really going to help the Dao-E, because fighting in any kind of narrow passages or anything with terrain that you can use is going to help the dwarfs. These battle types may sound familiar to the modding community. Last week, we were somewhat surprised and more than a little impressed to see a new mod made by Maruka and Martinil, which has been released, which also adds a variant of these battle types in games. Yeah, I saw this mod that was released. It's like, you know, c'est la vie, good work. And you know, the game should have kind of things that people want, and if someone's going to mod them, that should eventually be in game. So we got in touch with them and let them know that we've been working on a similar feature in-house for an official update. We in no way want to take anything with it, blah, 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 blah. So, will there be any free LC released alongside the Curse of the Vampire Coast? Yes, there will. So even if you don't purchase the Curse of the Vampire Coast, the pirate captains and forces will appear in the game as AI-controlled enemies, drastically changing the kind of opposition you will face in-game and providing a fresh grand campaign challenge for you. Again, the Vampire Coast and their ability to dominate the seas helps the Dao-E. Like, this will help dwarf campaigns by quite a bit, actually, because it'll hold down, you know, maybe some other factions or factions that are going to have a lot of ports. The dwarfs just don't, right? Additionally, we will be releasing a major update to the Vampire Counts faction in Mortal Empires, empowering them with new mechanics and revised skills and abilities. This is actually really awesome. Like, it was our turn last time. The Dao-E got an update. We got Karak Kedrin, we got Giant Slayers, we got the Forge where we can do new things, and it's made Dao-E campaigns much funner. And I guarantee there are going to be some great fun Vampire Counts campaigns coming right up, and we are going to see some Vampire Counts players playing them, I'm sure. And you know, we're probably not going to notice it that much in a dwarf campaign of the changes to the vampire counts, but I'm guessing they have new mechanics, revised skills, and abilities. I'm guessing there's revised skills and abilities. Some of them are also going to leach into multiplayer, which should make them more interesting in multiplayer, which is, I think, the vampire counts are generally sort of sort of one note in multiplayer. You don't see them a whole lot. That make them a little more interesting in multiplayer. And last but not least, there will be a free LC alongside a magnificent new legendary lord for use in the Eye of the Vortex in Mortal Empires. More news soon. And from other news that I'm reading, that is going to be a legendary lord for the Dark Elves, sea-based lord, which would make sense. There seems to be a lot of new content for Vampire Coast. How did this all come about? We've been fascinated with the Vampire Coast ever since our research into Lustria and the Eye of the Vortex campaign, which included reading through the old Warhammer Chronicle books and White Dwarfs. Hello, Amazons! Can't wait till you come. Amazons are going to be great. They have so much room to move on. Amazons. They're going to be a really fun faction when they come out. As with all the races from the Warhammer Fantasy Battles world that we translate into digital form for Total War Warhammer, we start off by constructing what the unit roster should look like and how they will play differently from others of the game. For this, we use the original references along with some exciting creatures and characters from the Monstrous Arcanium book and the Dreadfleet game to create the core building blocks. So some people had talked about the Dreadfleet game alongside when, you know, they're like, I know Loremaster of Sotek talked about it, Italian Spartacus, Milk and Cookies Total War, talked a little bit about Dreadfleet to more or greater or lesser extent, which means this is what they're looking at: White Dwarf, Dreadfleet. They're looking at, you know, the 8th edition. They're looking at older editions. This just means they're just going to flush this game out. I can't say how excited I am by the message that CA is sending with this DLC. So, working closely with Games Workshop, we fleshed out the roster to include a host of ghoulish creatures and monsters that we would be reanimating from the depths of the Warhammer Fantasy seas. We also took a similar approach with designing the campaign mechanics for the race, leaning on the resource material that we had and taking inspiration from other Warhammer army books. I love it. Dreadfleet and novels which spoke about the nautical elements of the Warhammer Fantasy Battles world. So, novels, hey, Felix and Gotrek and Felix. We're going to have a crazy dwarf and his human buddy in the game. Some of you have asked. This DLC practically guarantees stuff like that will be coming. I swear they are going to absolutely squeeze every last drop out of this partnership, and to the benefit of CA and to the benefit of Games Workshop and to the benefit of us all. I just love it. This is the ultimate win-win-win. It's so fantastic. So we were, of course, inspired by the real-world history of piracy too, dipping into its themes throughout the campaign when developing the nautical features and content, but always dialing it up, adapting it, and making sure to remain true to the lore and the Vampire Coast's vampiric undead origins. Will the Curse of the Vampire Coast be released on Mac and Linux? No, not on release day. So, this means the game is going to change. It really is going to change with the sea battles. It's going to be a lot more important for players that really do play coastal factions and do spend a lot of time in the ocean and do worry about getting auto-resolved to death and stuff like this. So just make it more interesting. The campaigns are going to be funner. This game is just getting better continuously. And the mechanics they're adding into this for the campaign pack, the mechanics, you know, it just... it's like they're just building on the best. And, you know, this tells me that... they're going back to the vampire counts. This gives me hope that they're going to go back to the Beastmen. I made a video, I don't know, like 6 or 7 months ago about improving the Beastmen. I think a lot of things could be done. I mean, it's not the end-all and be-all of what they should do, but what we do know is they are going to go back and revisit the Beastmen, and I guarantee the Beastmen revamp will be fantastic when they do it, because they're going to want to get people not only that own it, to be happy about it, but they're going to want to get new people to purchase it. Same with the Wood Elves. You know, this is just fantastic. So What does this mean for the future? You know, when is Game 3 going to come out? What are these things going to look like? I had originally thought before this that Game 3 would probably be making noise around June. Still feels like that's a possibility. I know that in between Game 3 and now, we are definitely going to see the Regiments of Renown for the Skaven and the Lizardmen. I mean, it's going to come, right? It's not, it's going to come, but seeing how much effort they've put into this, maybe we'll see something big, like a nice $20 DLC, which is fantastic, and a really big game changer, and it might be more narrow, which is better. The more narrow it is, the better. I know there are some people like boo Vampire Count or Vampire Coast and stuff like that. They wanted more things, like me. I mean, I wanted, you know, if I could, I'd have all, you know, 20 more race packs in by the end of November. I mean, that's what I want. That's what my heart wants. But the reality of it is, when you see them digging in, this is what you're doing, and you're seeing that sort of scope creep that is really, really good post-game. So a lot of games you see, they release and they have a schedule, and you can see they sort of tail off into nothing. Meaning the updates come later and later, and the DLC scales down, and then they sort of die out. And you can see games like, a game that I really, really want to see is Star Citizen, and you know, it's probably going to be another 5 years before I'm going to buy it. But it has had a ton of scope creep, but it's done it the wrong way around. It's done it before the game is released, where they're going back and they're redoing models and they're redoing ships and they're redoing things before the game is even released, and there's something that's playable for the fans to get a hold of. This game is doing it perfectly. You can see that scope creep has really stretched out what we're going to see and broadened the horizons of this game, where there is no way they mapped out the Vampire Coast in any map that's ever been done, and that was ever done in the beginning of this game. You know, they probably mapped out which factions are going to be in the first 3 games. They know the 4, 4, and 4, and what the possible DLCs, something more broad, and then something a lot more focused on game 1. I guarantee a Vampire Coast was never in there. There's just no way. And now it's a fully fleshed out $20 DLC, which is absolutely awesome and looks amazing and is full of rich, colorful characters and lore, and it's going to be a lot of fun. And I'm telling you, this pirate faction is going to make for some great viewing if you're a fan of the game. Like, I'm a huge fan of this game. I mean, I can't wait till Turn gets his hands on these units. I can't wait till Heir of Carthage, Janet on Occasion. I can't wait till these people that I love watching get their hands on this game. You know, I got all the people I play with, Shadow Online Gaming, Zardar, we've got Deacon, like all the people that I know that play this game. They're going to have fun with these units, and they're going to make memes, and they're going to be funny names for the units. This is going to be incredibly entertaining for all the fans of the game. So what does that mean for the next future? Is there going to be, you know, we know we're going to have that one DLC. Is there going to be more than one before Game 3? That's hard to say. You know, are they going to... I'd had someone comment on one of my previous videos. I think the pre-order faction for Game 3 is going to be Kislev. You know, if you pre-order, you get Kislev for free or something like that. And I had someone that had put in the notes that they think the pre-order faction is actually going to be the Southern Realms. Maybe that will be. If Game 3 is pushing back a little bit, then I would imagine that we may get 2 more DLCs before Game 3. Because I had thought there was just going to be 2 total, and this might make 3. This could be even more. There's a distinct possibility. I'm sure they have taken into account in Game 3 all the mistakes that were made with Norska. Or not all the mistakes, the mistake that was made with Norska, and ensuring that these units are all in and ready to go in Game 3. And they're probably working on that right now as we speak, to some extent, in terms of artwork and fleshing out. Who knows where it's going to be. June, is that going to be the right month? Can't see why it wouldn't be. You know, June is still a good date. Now that's, or May. I mean, the original game was released in May, and there's been a lot of CA releases in May and June. Could it be come May and June, that's going to be a good month to do it? Could be. If they want to, would they push Game 3 all the way back to Christmas of 2019? Can't see it. It seems like a little bit long. So they might give us another quick pack, focus all the way on Game 3, and then just focus on awesome DLCs for the next 5 years, which they could absolutely do. They could pump out an awesome DLCs, one every quarter or one every 4 months. Or like if they have the whole team, they're not working on a Game 4 and they're available to work on DLCs, they could pump out a DLC once every quarter for sure. They could at least do it once every 6 months and make it amazing. But sort of that 3 to 6 months range, we're probably going to see a DLC for 5 years. There's no reason not to. If they can keep making $20 off this engine and off this game every for a $20 DLC every 4 months for 5 years, they will do it. Because that is a total cash cow when you have all the engine and you have everything there and you're just adding, a new faction. It is so profitable, and it really leverages all the work they're going to put in. So I could see them putting in a lot of extra work in Game 3 to make it scalable for these kind of units that we want, and scalable so that they could eventually put in Cathay and Nippon, the Hobgoblin empires, and more of the northern empires. So I could really see them spending a little more time on Game 3, getting it ready so that it will be expandable, or more so. So I'm just so excited about this. This bodes so well. Game 3, I'm gonna tell you, I was genuinely, if you go back and look at my first Mortal Empires campaign with Grombrindle, I loved every second of that campaign. I just finished a really difficult campaign, and so I was really noticing all the new things in the Mortal Empires because I hadn't played the base game. Of course I bought it, I pre-ordered it, and I had it, the base game, but I'm not going to play an elf. Come on now. And so I just didn't play that game at all until Mortal Empires came out and I could play the Dao-E. And so I just finished a Game 1 campaign, and literally the day it came out, I went to play the Mortal Empires campaign, so I could still feel every bit of the difference from the game, and it was massively improved. Just the visual fidelity and everything was so much better. Game 3, it's going to be like that. It's going to be amazing, and this campaign pack with the Vampire Coast is telling me that not only is it going to be amazing, they're going to put in a lot of effort, a lot of resources. They're going to put their best people on this, and they're going to keep their best folks on this, and they're going to stay scope locked on this as a business for a very long time, because it is a total cash cow, and it's only going to get better. And this idea, like, who isn't going to buy all 3 games? Who's going to play, right? Because you're going to want to play that grand combined campaign where you need Game 1, Game 2, and Game 3. This is a beautiful setup. So as you can tell, I'm really excited. I am extremely happy with this announcement, even though my speculation was off by quite a bit. I am not unhappy at all, because it is exceeding my expectations by a lot, in that they're focusing so in depth on such a small part of this massive game. It gives me hope that this will be a beautiful game, and a living game from CA directly for the next 5 years. And it is the DLC, the modders are just going to keep making this game better and better and better as well over the next 5 and 10 years. And this game is going to be played, this game, mark my words, is going to be played for the next 10 years. We're going to be talking about this game in 2028, 2029, 2030. It's kind of in there for sure. 100% it's going to happen. So anyways, with that said, I have nothing else to say. I'd love to hear from you guys. I love comments. I would love to hear what you think about the possibility and the future of this game, what you think about the Vampire Coast and the trailer and the artwork and the pirate themes, and what you think about what it's going to mean for Dwarf campaigns, or your campaign if you don't play the Dao-E exclusively like I do. what it's going to be for a coastal campaign, what you're looking forward to most about playing the Vampire Coast Legendary Lords, or, you know, maybe you're looking forward to what possible changes are going to come with the Vampire Counts. So I'm definitely looking forward to also hearing from you guys in the comments. With that said, I will see you soon.